Welcome back, fight fans, to another video here on the Fight Game. Canelo Alvarez is a boxer who perhaps lays the best claim to being called the best boxer in boxing today. With multiple elite-level wins on his record, you have to wonder, is he the pound-for-pound best? You may hate Canelo, you may love Canelo, but either way, he must be respected. In my opinion, he has the second best resume in boxing, coming only second to the legendary Manny Pacquiao. But Canelo has already asserted his declaration into national legend. To see the last time we saw Mexican boxers as great, we have to wind back the decades to when Chavez was reigning. In the lighter weights, we also saw Ricardo Lopez collect 51 victories and 0 losses, a record better than Floyd Mayweather's. Mexico has a rich history of warrior boxers, and Canelo likely won't be appreciated until long after his career is ended. But greatness is not measured by records. Greatness is best measured by how well an individual responds to the happenings in life that appear to be totally unfair, unreasonable, and undeserved. Canelo, born not with a silver spoon in his mouth, has transcended his conceptual limitations. In a sport where the closest of battles are seen at the top level, Canelo seems to be in a league of his own. Cotto, defeated. Chavez Jr., defeated. Golovkin, defeated. Jacobs, defeated. Kovalev, defeated. A world champion in 4 different weight divisions, a global icon. He's a destructive counterpuncher with a touch of defensive wizardry. His head movement is unrivaled in the sport of boxing. In recent years, he has defeated everyone that's been put in front of him. He's displayed that he can box on the front foot and on the back foot. He's one of the most improved boxers of the last 5 years. In recent fights, he hasn't only looked good, but he's looked invincible. So far, his career has been nothing short of historic, with many world titles to his name. Like all careers, it's had its ups and its downs, its drama and its controversy, its glamour and its glory, its knockouts and its skills, its wars and its battles. It's almost as if we're seeing history being written right in front of our very own eyes. He brings his best to the ring every time he fights on the grand stage, and sometimes a little drama too. The support of his fans is loud and clear every time there's a Canelo show on in town. He fights for himself, but for the people too. His style consists of lightning-fast combinations, calculated defensive counterattacks, and a strong ability to persevere. He's strong, he's powerful, he's in his prime, and his career is on a high right now. He's collected a strong momentum in the last few years, and at this moment in time, he looks pretty much indestructible. I guess that leaves us with the question, can anyone beat Canelo Alvarez? Is he the most unstoppable boxer in boxing today? Welcome to this video here on the Fight Game, where we take a brief look at the accomplishments of Mexican superstar Canelo Alvarez. So where do we start? With a career of over 56 fights, it is perhaps overwhelming to condense his entire career into one video. But what I can do is briefly take a look at the story of his career, taking a look at how his story unfolded, and point out some highs and lows. It all began in Mexico. Canelo started boxing at the age of 13, then dropped out of school to focus full-time on his passion. His pro career began close to his hometown, in fact. It was October of 2005, and the future world champion Canelo Alvarez would make his professional debut. He was 15 years old here. It's not uncommon to see this in Mexico, as the amateur division of boxing is not established very well there. From this very rare footage, we can already see the inception of his boxing style. Strong, momentum-driven rotation in the shoulders. Towards the middle of the fight, we even saw him rest against the ropes, which is something Canelo does to this very day. We can even see him slip under the jab and return with a right uppercut, which is still one of Canelo's favorite combinations to throw on the ropes. He won, of course, after a strong, powerful combination to stop the fight. Canelo would fight 21 more times in Mexico, and amazingly at such a young age, he managed to not take a single loss as he rose through the ranks. Along with that, he transformed from a local hero into a national sensation. Canelo had such great character, and that was greatly appreciated by the Mexican people. He continued to train with Eddie and Chepo Reynoso in Mexico, working on his skills on the bag and in the ring. Canelo didn't need a high-tech facility to become great. All he needed was a good team, hard work, and dedication to the craft. At this time, he was a prospect in Mexican boxing with only dreams of achieving greatness. Chepo believed that only Canelo defined his own limitations and believed that one day he'll be one of the sport's pound-for-pound best. As he went on, we saw him control his composure more. We saw little hints of his head movement. Canelo's stance ended up being narrow in the legs, but square in the upper body. While boxers like Mike Tyson have a wide stance in both the legs and upper body, and boxers like Mayweather have a narrow stance, Canelo uses a mixture of both. He loves to make his opponents miss and pay. He's a defensive counterpuncher, but his counters generally come in combinations and not singular punches. The narrow foot positioning allows Canelo to push off the back leg when he counters, therefore increasing the swiftness of the attack. If you're not sure what I mean by this, look at how Mayweather sets up the pull counter. He extends his back leg so when he throws the backhand, he can push off the leg to speed up the movement of the counter. The wide positioning of his upper body allows him to punch with good rotation, therefore increasing power with torque. Canelo's first world title shot came in 2011 when he took on Matthew Hatton for the vacant WBC Super Welterweight title. Super Welterweight is the weight division of 154 pounds. With red hair and a face with freckles, Canelo was not your typical Mexican-looking boxer. Chepo Reynoso gave Canelo his nickname, but above all else, it was his skills that mattered the most. Canelo had already established a good name for himself with American fans when he knocked out Carlos Boldemir and stopped Jose Cotto. But this was a special fight as it was his first for a major world title, and he was watched by boxing fanatics as many speculated that this young teenage Canelo could be one of the sport's brightest prospects. As far as tests go, Canelo passed with ease. Canelo dominated the fight from start to finish. At this time, Canelo was a typical Mexican warrior, standing toe-to-toe in the center of the ring to exchange combinations. He was on the front foot for most of the fight, pushing the action. Canelo's youth and power was too much for Hatton to handle, although the fight went for 12 rounds. Canelo won the WBC belt and defended it 3 times before putting it on the line against Shane Mosley. In the Mosley fight, we saw Canelo's head movement improve. Although back then he wasn't as good as he is now. What impressed me the most about the Mosley fight was his ability to remain composed under attack. This was Canelo's first real high-profile fight. Many fighters can be like a deer in headlights, but Canelo showed up with sharp counterpunching. Canelo would cover up with a high guard and look for openings in Mosley's defense, and then he would return fire with fast and destructive combinations. Canelo would defend his belt successfully and collect a great victory, proving to the boxing world that he was no longer a prospect, but a reigning champion. From here onward, Canelo would fight in the United States. Canelo's profile was increasing fast, and Mayweather wanted to fight him. However, Canelo's team would insist on gaining more experience before facing Mayweather, and instead opted for 2 fights, Josecito Lopez and a unification fight with Austin Trout. He would defeat Lopez by TKO, and it was in this fight where we saw Canelo's love for body punching arise. Then he would defeat Trout by decision, but dropped him with a great right hand during the fight. We really saw Canelo's head movement evolve in the Trout fight. A lot of people like to say he learned defensive moves from the Mayweather fight, but he was always defensively capable before ever facing Mayweather. Canelo now felt ready to face Mayweather at just 23 years old. The fight took place and it was one of the biggest fights seen in boxing history. It was the master boxer versus the ferocious puncher. Those who thought Canelo would win argued that he would simply be too young and strong, and those who thought Mayweather would win thought he would simply be too defensively skilled. This was Canelo Alvarez's first and only ever loss. Mayweather was just too good. He took Canelo to the school of boxing with astute counterpunching from safe and defensive positions. Although Mayweather is perhaps one of the best to ever do it, skill-wise, so losing to Mayweather is something he shouldn't dwell on. Many would love to see a fight with both of them in their prime, as Canelo was so young and inexperienced when he took the fight. Canelo has been pretty open about how he'd love to avenge that one loss on his record, But then again, this is boxing. Losses are part of the journey. After his high-profile loss, Canelo would begin his comeback. He defeated Angulo very easily and then took on Erislandy Lara. Lara was a defensive boxer too, which would have been a very dangerous risk for Canelo style-wise. However, his body punching and aggressiveness would win him the fight by decision. Canelo deserves massive respect for fighting all opponents out there, no matter their style. In the following years, Canelo would mature, and in turn would fill out into his frame. He took on James Kirkland, who he beat down over the course of 3 rounds before knocking him out with a crazy right hook. Canelo set the right hook up with a touch to the body, lowering his hands and leaving an opening for the hook to land. Then he defeated Cotto. This was the first fight where we really saw Canelo much larger than his opponents, and yet he outboxed Cotto, who was very experienced. Then he took on Amir Khan, one of the sport's fastest boxers. After a few sequences of successful attacks in the fight, Canelo knocked Khan out cold with a straight right hand. But at this time, the boxing world only wanted one fight, the Golovkin fight. But first it was Liam Smith. Canelo decided to take it easy in this fight by resting against the ropes. Getting that experience in a real fight is valuable. Then he knocked him out with a liver shot. After that, it was an all-Mexican showdown with Chavez Jr. Canelo showed that he was most definitely the best Mexican boxer, as it was such a one-sided beatdown. It wasn't even close. Canelo looked incredibly comfortable with Chavez, and he seemed to land at will. After this, it was finally the Golovkin fight. Canelo, now a fully fledged middleweight, aimed to silence all those doubters who said he was scared of Triple G. Canelo boxed better than most expected. He might not have done enough to win, but he showed that he's at the elite level of the middleweight division. That fight ended in a draw. However, it was really in the rematch where we saw this middleweight beast version of Canelo. This time around, Canelo didn't go on the back foot. He stood in the center of the ring and gave it to Golovkin. He won, and although the fight was close again, this time he had done enough to appear the better boxer of the two. Canelo then tested the waters at the super middleweight division of 168 pounds when he took on Rocky Fielding. Canelo, in one of his easiest fights ever, defeated Fielding with body shots. He then went down to the middleweight to face Daniel Jacobs, who was arguably the rank number 3 middleweight at the time. Jacobs is a brilliant boxer. This fight was risky for Canelo, but it didn't seem like that in the fight, as Canelo completely outboxed the boxer. He showed good footwork too, maybe the best we've seen in his career, and along with that he showed that he's probably got the best head movement out of everyone in the sport of boxing. Canelo was looking invincible. Every person put in front of Canelo met the fate of a loss. We also will likely never see Canelo get knocked out because of this genius trick he does when an opponent lands a powerful shot. He glances his head with the punch to deflect all the damage. Canelo's arsenal of weaponry is vast. He uses tricks like using his elbows during fights to impose his will. People asked who could possibly beat him now, and Canelo decided to take an incredibly risky route of moving not 1, but 2 weight divisions up to fight Kovalev at 175 pounds. Kovalev was so much bigger, and many said that if Jacobs or Golovkin couldn't beat Canelo, maybe Kovalev could. Canelo boxed very cautiously in this fight, but he actually ended up knocking Kovalev out cold. He set the shot up with a distracting left hook to the body, but then changed the trajectory halfway through to the head. This is a brilliant move Canelo uses in his fights. The initial trajectory gets his opponents to drop their hands thinking a body shot is coming, and just at the last second, he changes it to the head, which is consequently open. The finishing shot was a straight right. I must admit, when Canelo knocked out Kovalev last November, it left me asking, is there even a boxer out there that can defeat Canelo? It's not out of this world to say he looks unbeatable. Many thought Kovalev was a dangerous fight for Canelo, and while it did pose a risk, Canelo silenced all critics when he won in a fashion that's truly unquestionable. So I suppose that leaves us with the question, is Canelo Alvarez unstoppable? Is there anyone out there that can actually beat him? So far, Canelo has had an incredible career. He's definitely a future Hall of Famer, and at this moment in time, he's in his prime. It's not often we get to see someone with the experience and history of Canelo Alvarez fight the best of the best. He deserves massive respect for fighting all styles out there and for giving fight fans the fights that they want. If you'd like to see more videos from us on Canelo Alvarez, let us know. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a like as it helps us grow the channel. We'll see you on the next video here on The Fight Game.